For our top focus story, I want to take you to Budgam on the outskirts of Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces had a specific intelligence tip-off about terrorist hold-up inside a house. They laid a cordon. Before they could move in to neutralize the terrorists, locals started assembling there. They shouted slogans, they began pelting stones. Additional reinforcements, even before security forces got additional reinforcements, stone pelter reinforcements arrived. More stone pelters arrived with stones. Pitched battles lasted for several hours. This operation lasted more than 7 hours. At the end of this operation, one terrorist was killed, 46 security force personnel were injured, 3 protesters were also killed in this encounter. The big question: how should security forces deal with stone pelters who obstruct anti-terrorist operations in Jammu and Kashmir? On your screens are the real villains of the valley. Misled by the agents of Pakistan, they will end up doing anything to ensure peace in Kashmir does not prevail. As security forces battled suspected Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists holed up in a 3-storied house in Budgam on the outskirts of Srinagar, these youngsters desperately tried to foil the anti-terrorist operation. They initially shouted slogans, then pelted stones and did everything they could to stop the army and the security forces from battling terrorists. The security forces tried to push them back, but in the crossfire, 3 protesters were hit and succumbed to their injuries on the way to the hospital.
हम हर चीज में हर हालत को मुकाबला करने के लिए हमारी सेना भी, हमारे पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस पूरी तैयार हैं। ये पत्थरबाजी आज नहीं हो रही है। ये पड़ोसी राष्ट्र पाकिस्तान से बना हुआ एक प्लानिंग है भारत देश में अशांति फैलाने का, कश्मीर में।
This isn't the first time stone pelters have tried to disrupt anti-terrorist operations in the valley. The debate over stone pelters has been raging for quite some time now. The Chief of the Army Staff, General Bipin Rawat, made it very clear tough action will be taken against those who attempt to shield terrorists.
And as we are conducting operations against them, we find that the local population somehow is not becoming supportive of the actions of the security forces. That people who have picked up arms, and these are the local boys, if they want to continue with these acts of terrorism, displaying flags of ISIS and Pakistan, then we will treat them as anti-national elements.
Even as the security forces were battling Pakistan-sponsored terror in Budgam, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti pushed for talks with separatists and even Pakistan.
मिलिटेंसी यहाँ कई सालों से चल रहे हैं। हजारों की तादाद में लोग मारे गए हैं, चाहे वो मिलिटेंट हो, चाहे सिविलियन हो, चाहे सिक्योरिटी फोर्स हो, चाहे पुलिस। पर उससे कुछ हासिल होने वाला नहीं है, तशद्दुद से कुछ हासिल होने वाला नहीं है। जो भी कुछ हासिल होगा वो बातचीत से, अफ़ाम व तफ़हीम से होगा और अमन से हासिल होगा।
Helping terrorists flee, attacking security forces who fight for our safety. This menace has gone far beyond the usual Friday protests. But if Pakistan's desperate agents aren't stopped now, peace in the valley may be a long-forgotten dream. With Shujaul Haq in Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today. Is it then time to bring back the pellet guns? Do they reduce fatal casualties? Are stone pelters guilty of aiding terrorists? There are several questions that need to be answered at this point of time. There's a dilemma. How do you deal with stone pelters, if not pellet guns? What are other options that security forces need to exercise on this? Joining me now on the broadcast is Engineer Rashid. He's an independent MLA in Jammu and Kashmir. Karuna Nandi, she's a Supreme Court lawyer. Sambit Patra represents the BJP. Jel Jaswal was Army Commander, Northern Command. They all join us on the broadcast. But I want to begin by asking Engineer Rashid first. Engineer Rashid, tell me this, sir. Should elected representatives like you, shouldn't you be engaging more extensively with the youth, encourage them to stay away from anti-terrorist operations, sir?
I think you are 100% right, because losing lives is absolutely painful for everybody, whether we lose a civilian, whether we lose an army soldier, a policeman, or even a militant, because mothers are mothers, they don't want to receive dead bodies of their beloved ones. But having said that, nothing is there in our hands, because of the fact when insurgency started in 1990, Kashmiris were asked by government of India to shun violence and enter into a political process. And in 1996, when elections were held, Farooqullah was promised autonomy, and then Hurriyat was
Sir,
broken
will you
into
give
two,
all this spiel?
making it a moderate
Sir,
section
Engineer
and a
Rashid,
hardliner
you will
section.
give this spiel to the
Moderates were
mother of
allowed
the
to open
people
an
who
office
died
in New
today.
Delhi. Sir, please
You will
me
give
30
them a
seconds
history lesson
uninterrupted.
tonight, sir.
Moderators opened an office in New Delhi, and the central
Sir?
government entered into dialogue. L.K. Advani had many rounds of dialogue with Hurriyat, but nothing came out.
Sir,
then you called
you
us,
will
then
give
you
them
said
this
that
entire
for
history
participating in
lesson
elections, we will listen
and
to
not
you,
stop the
TDP
next.
came with
You will
agenda
not stop the
self-rule.
next youth
So when
from
things
joining
do not
stone
move on the ground,
pelters.
talks with Pakistan have failed. Talks with militants have failed. I think things are running out of control, and that's the main reason why today people are not ready even to listen to Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani, who used to have control over youth overwhelmingly in Kashmir. Which
So
is really
people
a
are not listening
disturbing
to you
situation for
either?
Everybody,
Nobody is
including
listening to
people of
elected
Jammu and Kashmir,
representatives.
because
Is that
we are
what you're
dying,
saying,
we are
sir?
suffering. We wish that good self will prevail so that situation comes to normalcy. But the only way to do that is to resolve Jammu and Kashmir issue by dialogue, by engaging people of Jammu and Kashmir, and also talking with Pakistan on the future of other two parts, including POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. Unless we don't do that,
Okay.
I think we will reach nowhere.
Okay. General Jaswal, the narrative that's being built is that stone pelting is also some kind of a democratic form of protest of helpless youth or disenchanted youth. It's almost like a David versus this Indian state Goliath narrative. Do you buy this narrative, sir?
No, not at all. If you recall, in 2009, October, in my first interview on taking over, I had said agitational terrorism is going to come in, and that's going to be definitely a problem. That's exactly what has happened. Now, as far as these people are concerned, unfortunately, who are the people who are fanning all this? These are basically the separatists. Pakistan thereafter. Now the separatists, I would like to see why their children are not coming out, why they're studying outside. If they're so concerned about bringing in peace and conducive environment in Kashmir, why are they studying outside? Why are they not sending them along the stone pelters?
Explain this, Engineer
Now,
Rashid. Explain
if
this
that
to
is the
India Today
case,
viewers
they're
tonight.
using
Why
the
is it?
youth-
No, General, you've raised a fair point.
Yes,
sir.
General, you've raised
Sir,
a
I
fair
will
point.
finish.
Why are separatist children not disenchanted? Why are they studying abroad and working abroad and living a life of luxury? Whereas these hapless children, as you put it, are becoming stone pelters because they're disenchanted.
They're cannon fodder.
Sir, first,
For them.
please allow me to say something. First, let you be very clear about it that whatsoever is happening in Kashmir, it is not creation of separatists. Rather, separatists are creation of the ongoing resistance, you may call it, or uprising, you may call it. Separatists have no role in this at all, because when you
They are
say
sending their own children abroad.
Studying abroad, no, separatists are never giving a call to people, asking them to pelt stones. Sir, please listen me. Nobody is following separatists for the reason because of the fact that separatists give calendars, but the sentiment is there. You have to address it, you have to acknowledge it, you have to engage people in talks. And when you say about separatists, they have never ever given a calendar when they ask people to pelt stones. So people don't need, even those who are pelting stones on the ground, they are neither in control of separatists nor in control of their parents. Because I will again repeat that you have a history of broken promises and people out of desperation seeing that nothing happening on the ground except government of India buying time, and that is the reason why situation is going from bad to worse.
Sambit Patra, why is the government not engaging with these youth? You've heard Engineer Rashid respond to him, sir.
No, in fact, I've heard Engineer Rashid, and the sentence that he was mentioning was, it is a story or a saga of broken promises. Now, what is the promise? If you feel that you are independent of India, or if you want a status which is autonomous of India, then I'm sorry, that promise is not going to be fulfilled, and you have to get this absolutely right on your head, that India and Kashmir are together. Kashmir is an integral part of India. You have to get this absolutely right. And when you say that there are a section in the society which has been floating this idea that there's some sense of alienation, and that is the reason as to why the youth of Kashmir are on the street, I would say absolutely no. I mean, 80,000 crore was only recently allocated for the growth and development, the rightful right of Jammu and Kashmir for their growth and development. Then the opposition party is there, and people like Engineer Rashid were saying, no, this is not an issue of development. This is a political issue. My question is, what is a political issue? We want to give you employment, we want to give growth and development to Jammu and Kashmir, and despite all this, you are saying that you want a political resolution to it. My direct question to Mr. Engineer Rashid is, what is the political resolution that you want?
Okay, you want to respond to that, Engineer Rashid? Because I want to quickly bring in Karuna Nandi, but that's a direct question to you. Please respond, sir.
I will. Yes, sir. 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 Sir. Let me put a counter question to Samit Patra, with whom I hold with highest respect. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 15th of August from Lal Killa, Red Fort, said that people of Pak-occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan want to be part of India. Madam Mahbubah ji and her cabinet colleagues said that just 5% people are pelting stones in Kashmir. In Jammu, they claim that there was everything normal. We claim that 80% people have voted in the elections. Then my simple question is, assuming for a while what Prime Minister said, that people of Gilgit-Baltistan and POK or Azad Kashmir, whatsoever you may call it, they want to be part of India, then tell me, sir, how can you get POK and Gilgit-Baltistan and implement parliament resolution? So for God's sake, don't mislead anybody. For God's sake, resolve issue. There's a political dispute in your...
Arey sir, what has that got to do with stone pelting to support terrorists? What has any of that got to do with supporting stone pelting for terrorists? Engineer Rashid, you'll build this very big narrative, and children are being killed, and that is where I want to bring in Karuna Nandi. Karuna Nandi, is it now time to call a spade as the army chief said? Stone pelters. Sir, let me bring in Karuna Nandi, sir.
He was killed, he was 2 kilometers away from that place.
Stone pelters should be treated as overground workers of terrorist organizations and should be dealt with accordingly. Karuna Nandi.
In 2012, 10 14-year-old Ishad Ahmed Pare and 20-year-old Mudassir Nazir lost their lives to pellet gun injuries. Today, the Supreme Court has asked the state to tell the court whether there are other alternatives available and how it might work, because the Jammu and Kashmir Bar Association brought this issue to the Supreme Court. I think the impression that is being given is further polarizing, because while it is true that in Kashmir there are terrorists and there is a very, very large, the predominant population is stuck between the terrorist on the one hand and our state on the other. When I hear Sambit Patra saying that Sambit Patra is going to bring development, that we are going to bring development to Kashmir, let him remember that the Kashmiri people are citizens as much as Sambit Patra is. And there is and as citizens, we are all entitled to a certain amount of development. We are all entitled to.
We are not entitled to stone pelting.
So while it might be
that
true
stone pelting
that
is not kosher, that message, Karuna Nandi, needs to go out in one voice.
If I may just finish, Gaurav.
If you could answer the question, ma'am. Stone pelting is not acceptable.
Stone pelting must be countered stone pelting must be countered in a manner which conforms with necessity and proportionality. It is not always the case that it is outside a terrorist's house. When it is outside a terrorist's house, preventing the CRPF or preventing the security forces from going into the terrorist's house, that is one situation. When there is a large number of children and women, etc., protesting, and you have pellet guns that are shot, blinding a large number of people, rather than even the pellet guns, when they are used, being shot below the leg, which is one of the requirements.
No, but tell me this, aren't women and children, General Jaswal, aren't women and children being used as a shield?
In such
aren't women and children
then it is a hugely disproportionate response. So this is something we must be very clear about, Gaurav.
No, so if there is no stone pelting, there will be no pellet guns, as simple as that.
Right. There is that issue, that women and children are used as a shield. But it is absolutely not true that it is in all cases. So let's be quite clear about that.
No, so let's get the basics right, General Jaswal. If there is no stone pelting, there will be no pellet guns. As simple as that. Why doesn't this message go across, General?
No, I with due respect to the lady, I would like person like you to sit down there on that line of denial which has been given as a task to the security forces, sit over there and face the stone throwing, you will give an answer otherwise what you have given. Let me tell you, when a hajum of hundreds of people comes next to the security forces, they warn, they calibrate their response. First, non-lethal weapons are fired like tear gas and all that. If they do not stop and their life and their safety becomes untenable in the sense that it becomes dangerous, do they not have the right to protect themselves? The pellet gun, so-called, actually is shotgun, not pellet guns. You are right. You're supposed to fire below the leg. But what happens when you engage? Have you studied the pattern of a shotgun number 9? It spreads to 30 inches. Even if you fire on the legs, it'll go to the chest. What happens to a guy who's bending down to pick up a stone when a shot is fired? He gets shot in the face. In the first place, why are they there? There is an executive order of 144. If in case they are violating that, it is within the right of the Constitution that we must take any action to thwart such like rioting situation. And a stone, when it hits you, there were cases in 2010. A boy died because of a brick being thrown at him. He was traveling in a bus, it hit the head. A stone hitting a soldier, or a policeman being lynched by the crowd. You won't accept that? He is an instrument of the state. We must protect him, and the orders are very clear in aid to civil authority, like for the army, that if he crosses the line and your position becomes untenable, he can protect himself, and ASPA Section 4 also supports that.
Absolutely. Engineer
Take
Rashid,
action,
respond
not
to
kill
this.
people,
Respond to
not
this,
to maim
Engineer
people,
Rashid.
to
If there is no
to
stone
safeguard
pelting,
himself.
there will be no
And he has the
pellet
right to
guns.
safeguard himself.
Let students stay away. Let youngsters stay away from encounter sites. Let them then negotiate. Let there be talks. Let everything happen the way it should. But in an environment free from terror, sir.
I really wish if it could happen. The Kashmiris are the ones who need the peace, because we have definitely lost much, everything, education, lives, property, everything, peace of mind. So for God's sake, ask Samit Patra to initiate a dialogue, because at the end of the day, when he is saying that we will do nothing, then it is not a law and order problem. As if General Jaswal is saying that India is at war with Kashmiris, then...
No, India is not at war with Kashmiris, and that is not what he said.
That it is
No,
not a law
sir,
and
no
order
misinformation on this, not on this channel, sir.
Mr. Rashid, don't misquote me.
But
India is not at war with Kashmir. India is at war with terror. Please don't equate terror with these.
The guy, sir, please, will you give me 20 seconds? The guy Zahid Rashid Ganai, who was killed today in Kashmir, please ask your team in Srinagar to get the video, and you will see that he was at a distance of 1 kilometer away from the site encounter. You can check it out. I am not blaming anybody. I have already said that whether a dead body reaches to the house of a soldier, a policeman, a militant, or a civilian, mothers do really care. They do really. If they reach Pakistan, if the Pakistani terrorists killed, we don't care, sir. Terrorists are terrorists, they should be killed. But the only solution is that you need not to lie us. You need really to resolve issues. If you are so committed, then why are you afraid of holding plebiscite? I don't think it's a big deal.
No, but where does plebiscite come in all of this? Where does plebiscite? Engineer Rashid, you're an elected representative of the people. Where does plebiscite come in?
Then we should not be afraid, sir, please.
Arey sir, plebiscite ke liye aap Pakistan, please get your, let's get Gilgit-Baltistan back from Pakistan's 5th province. Can you? When did you last speak? Sambit Patra, you want to respond to this plebiscite rant?
We will ask Pakistan to do that.
When did you last ask Pakistan to do that, sir?
Pakistan must do that. Pakistan must do that. They must.
Yes, Mr. Patra.
Can I please answer?
Yes, we will ask Pakistan to do that. Why not?
When?
Mr. Rashid. Mr. Rashid, don't pelt stones at me. Let me answer. I didn't interject you. Number one, please get this out of your mind that we will hold a plebiscite.
No, not at all.
I have repeated
but don't fire pellets at me, because you are
an integral part of India.
Firing pellets on us.
No one is throwing pellets at you. And let me tell you, as far as dialogue is concerned, we have a categorical stand on dialogues. Sir, please don't shout. I did not shout. Listen to me. As far as dialogue
Dialogue
is
not for
concerned,
the
we have a
sake of
categorical
dialogue. Dialogue
stand.
for
If
resolution
you
of
have
issues.
faith, if
No.
you have faith in the Constitution
Then dialogue
of
for what?
India,
If
then
you
we
say
will
we
have
have to do
dialogue
nothing,
with you.
sir,
But
sorry.
if the
Then dialogue for
Sir,
what?
can you please keep quiet for a while and allow others
Then
to
dialogue
speak?
for what? If
So
you
those
say
who
we have
cannot
to do
speak in
nothing,
the
then dialogue
television
for what?
debate, those who do not allow others,
Okay.
those who do not allow others to be heard in television debate, just imagine what they would be doing on the ground, Mr. Engineer Rashid. You're not allowing a democratic voice to speak over here in the debate. Let me complete, then you can counter me. Number one, if the stakeholders of Jammu and Kashmir, supposedly, you say that the separatists are stakeholder, we say the stakeholders are only those who have faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India. If they have faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India, we'll talk to them, otherwise we will reject them. Number two, in fact, in this very debate, you have been exposed. I told in my first appearance, in the first question of mine was, what is your propaganda all about? What is your aim all about? Kashmir is an integral part of India, but now suddenly you have come up with this plebiscite issue. You do not want development, you do not want growth of Kashmir. All you want is succession. Sorry, sir. Succession will not be allowed.
No, Engineer Rashid, do you at least agree that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India? Do you agree Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, Engineer Rashid? Engineer Rashid, do you concede? Do you agree? J&K is an integral part of
Allow
India,
me
sir?
to say, sir. I am not in a torture. I am not in a torture cell. We are discussing in a civilized way on your channel. I have told Home Minister Rajnath Singh also in all parties meeting that if only my raising flag would resolve the problem, I would have loved to do it. But it would not resolve the problem. For God's sake, try to understand the sentiment.
Sir, you still haven't answered my question. If an elected representative does not answer the question, Sir, Karuna Nandi, do you now see how elected representatives in the state, do you agree that youngsters are being misled in Jammu and Kashmir? Youngsters are being misled in Jammu and Kashmir. They are not being told the truth.
So you are interrupting now.
No, sir. I'm asking you a very
Gaurav, I
simple
agree with
question.
you that there are youngsters being
You
misled
are
in
not
Jammu
ready
and
to listen to the
Kashmir.
truth
There
because you are
are
not ready to resolve the
also
issues.
youngsters being misled
Tell
all
me
over
why you
India.
talk to 5
You know?
Mujahideen commanders in Chishmashahi
Let us
guest house.
be clear.
Why you send Hurriyat people via bus to Muzaffarabad? Sir, for God's sake, tell why you allowed Hurriyat to operate an office in New Delhi? Why then Deputy Prime Minister L.K. Advani had many rounds of talks with Hurriyat? When Vajpayee ji said we will talk in इंसानियत का दायरा with the
एक छोटा सा सवाल है सर, आज 3 लोग मर गए, आज एक आतंकवादी मर गया. अरे इंजीनियर रशीद सुन तो लीजिए. 3 youngsters lost their life today. 1 terrorist was killed. 46 soldiers are injured. Why do you want to go into history? Tell youngsters, don't come near anti-terrorist operations.
You don't even
sit at
debate
home.
Sir, you don't even debate how those 3 guys lost their lives. Because General Bipin Rawat has given a green signal to army, go and kill every Kashmiri who comes your way.
सर
You
all
don't
he
want
has
to
said is
debate
don't
that.
come in
You are
support of
giving
terrorists.
them
Again
rather
सर,
than
सर देखो
exposing those who
सर
kill
इस
3
चैनल पे
innocents.
आपको
They
सच
were
बोलना
not
होगा.
stone-pelters. One
आपको
of them was
सच
just
बोलना होगा
1
इंजीनियर
kilometer
राशिद
away
यहाँ
from the encounter
पर.
site.
यहाँ पर वो
And you are
लाग
despite
लपेट नहीं
that
चलता
you are
सर.
defending indefensible, sir.
Sir, I'm sorry,
Sir?
you are doing that, sir. You are defending the indefensible.
जनाब, वो आप तो
Nobody
सच्ची
should
बात-
come near
आप
an
सच्ची बात
anti-terrorist
सुनने के लिए तैयार ही
operation.
नहीं है, मैं
Will
क्या
Engineer Rashid say this?
That is-
Will Engineer Rashid say this, sir? Youngsters, do not come near anti-terrorist operations.
Sorry?
Youngsters,
Definitely, Sir, for God's sake, I would like to appeal militants also not to fire bullets and not kill policemen, army, anybody. But for that thing, it has to be reciprocal. You have to reciprocate. You have to respond accordingly because at the end of the day, unless and until you don't shun violence, it's a two-way process. It is not
but
a
General
one-way
Jaswal,
process.
isn't that the
You are
case?
after the militants.
Unless there is stone-pelting, there won't be pellet
Bring them to
guns.
the table and talk. If you have a strong argument, then why don't you talk to Sayyid Salahuddin? If you have talked to 5 militant commanders, it was again then BJP government in 2001 or 2002 when Home Secretary came
Sir,
and met 5 militant commanders.
Mr.
Then they
Rashid,
were
please
not
allow me to
terrorists. You
speak.
talk to them.
Okay,
You talk to
so
the militants.
you made your point. I want to get General Jaswal and Samit Patra both to respond to that. General Jaswal, you first.
So why could you not talk and Pakistan?
Okay, General Jaswal, go on, sir.
Mr. Rashid, this is not a monologue. Please allow. I want to ask few things to Mr. Rashid. Whose bullet was that killed the person 1 kilometer away? How do you know it is not the terrorist bullet? How do you say it's security forces bullet? 2, you're talking about plebiscite.
There's a viral video.
It was
Check it out.
sequential and consequential. The sequence has not been completed. Just a second, please. Just a minute. Question 3, allegiance to India. Chapter 1, Section 3 of your Constitution says J&K is and will remain part of India, and Section 147 clearly says that neither Section 147 nor Section 3 will be amended. Where is the doubt? You're part of India, so what are you asking about plebiscite? What are you asking about any other demand? I think the kind of money that has been pumped in, I love J&K. It is very, very close to my heart. I love the people of J&K. I've got so many Muslim friends. I've got so many Hindu
That is why you
friends
killed
over there.
1 lakh people.
All of them don't say that.
Oh, come
All of
on,
them
Engineer
don't say
Rashid.
that.
Come on. Now, but
Oh my
Karuna
God,
Nandi,
please, Engineer Rashid,
I want to come
I know
to
the
the
figures
aspect.
very well.
Gaurav,
Please,
the
Sir,
Constitution
allow
of
me to
India has
respond.
been
Sir,
cited a
please.
number of times. I'd like to
30
make a
seconds,
couple of
30
points.
No,
seconds,
but
sir.
you know,
First
why are we
point
going
is
into
that
history?
under the
Let's stay on the current
Constitution,
issue
it
of
is the
stone
Supreme
pelting.
Court
You
that
may
has
debate
to
constitution
deal
in
with
Constitution
academic
of
debates,
Assembly
do
is
that
not
in
bigger
parliament,
than
do that
United
elsewhere.
Nations.
But look
You
at
should not
lives
forget
being
that,
lost on
sir.
the streets every day. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, there are lives being lost on the streets every
Yes,
day.
yes.
And when stone pelters come, and Karuna Nandi, when stone pelters come and obstruct military operations, there are terrorists, hardcore terrorists like Abu Dujana, who've escaped taking advantage of the diversion created by stone pelters. So why are we going to tell either those security personnel who lose their lives or these stone pelters, are we going to read the constitution or constitution being slighted to their families? Let's please stay on the current issue. Stop these stone pelters first. Karunanandi.
When there is stone pelting,
nobody's
there is
hands
a
unless you
necessary
don't
and proportionate
go for a meaningful
response
dialogue and resolve the
that
issue.
is allowed. And if I may just finish,
Yes, ma'am.
there's a necessary and proportionate response that the government has been asked to respond on. The problem at the moment is that we have the Constitution being cited all over the place today in this debate. Let us be clear that the Justice Verma Committee, a former Chief Justice of India, has
J&K
analyzed the
Constitution.
issue and said,
Sorry.
for example, that the AFSPA is in so many ways problematic under the present Constitution.
But the Supreme Court
Secondly,
itself said
there is
AFSPA is
also the
required.
issue
But that's
that,
an academic debate at this stage,
retaliatory,
Karunanandi.
even when
Let's
dealing
stay on
with
the
the
point. Abu Dujana escaped. Abu Dujana is a
the
hardcore
illegality of the use of excessive and retaliatory force by the army, security forces and police is unlawful.
And we will tell that because Abu Dujana escaped, because stone pelting happened.
Right?
We will
And the
read
situation here is not so
AFSPA
different.
there.
think so.
And this is something, I think in this debate, we can't have a conception that if somebody throws a stone, that they should be shot dead.
If
This is the
somebody,
conception that is
it's
being
not
the
one
incorrect
somebody,
conception.
it's a
And here
murderous
we are
mob of
misleading the
100,
youth of India
200,
that is
500
watching
people.
this show. And that I think is very important, not to do that. you
Okay,
know?
now tell me this, why is stone pelting happening? Because
When I hear a former general saying this, when I hear a spokesperson of the central government saying this, you know, I find this to be extremely problematic. And if they are going to cite the Constitution,
and you don't find Abu
let them
Dujana
cite it
escaping
in
the
full.
security
I
dragnet
find it
problematic,
extremely
Karunanandi?
that the basic premise
No,
of the debate,
Karunanandi,
the
you don't
Kashmir
find Abu Dujana
Constitution
escaping.
is
Obviously,
that.
it's
Hardcore terrorists like Abu
defending
Dujana
that,
escaped.
of J&K,
you can't
you're a
have
lawyer.
the reaction to
It's
that
really problematic.
cover every single situation of a stone being thrown. You can't say that.
Stone pelting
I
is
don't understand.
is
I
helping
don't understand
terrorists.
as to why
Stone
the
pelting is
human
helping
rights
Pakistan.
That
Do
is
you
no one
realize
talks
that?
about the human rights
That's
of
one
our
situation.
army,
But
of
it's
our
not that
jawans.
there's always reasonable belief, that there's always probable cause. There's always a reason to believe that a terrorist is escaping when there is stone pelting. Is that true? No,
The
that's not
army
true,
chief
is
has
it?
gone on
So
record
let's
to
be
say
clear.
that
That
I
is
would
only a
rather
very
believe the
particular
army chief of
situation.
India than some terrorist in Pakistan, Karunanandi. The army chief has said that when stone pelting happens, terrorists are escaping or security forces are
The
being
Supreme
killed.
Court is not a terrorist in Pakistan, Gaurav. I am not a terrorist
I
in
will explain it
Pakistan.
to the
So I
leaders.
never said you are a
India is
terrorist
not
in
a terrorist
Pakistan, but I would
kill innocents
The
without
citizens of
caring for
Kashmir,
their lives,
for the
Rahul.
large part, are not
Then you will
terrorists
kill
in
everybody
Pakistan.
coming
So
their way,
let's
and
not
just
set
to
up
kill a
straw
man
men.
holding
Yeah.
a
No,
gun,
sir,
whether
stone
he has killed
pelters,
anybody or
you know,
not,
for
will
the
kill
benefit,
everybody coming
while
your
we
way.
have this very nice academic debate in an air-conditioned environment, listen in. I want you to listen in to a terrorist. His name is Zakir Musa. Zakir Musa is a terrorist in Jammu and Kashmir. He is seen as the inheritor of the Hizbul Mujahideen mantle after terrorist Burhan Wani was killed. Listen in. He wants stone pelting and why. Listen in.
जो संगबाज भाई हैं हमारे उनको मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि वो जब भी पत्थर उठाए तो वो इस्लाम के लिए हो वो कश्मीर के लिए या किसी वतन के लिए ना हो, ये वतनियत की जंग ना हो, वो खालिस और खालिस इस्लाम के लिए हो। क्योंकि सब लोगों को पता ही है कि मतलब जो नेशनलिज्म है, मतलब वतनियत है, ये तो इस्लाम में हराम करार दी गई है।
इंजीनियर राशिद, वतनियत इस्लाम में हराम है, पत्थर उठाओ संगबाज भाई
Sir.
तो इस्लाम के लिए उठाओ. It's not for Azadi, it's for Islam. Is that what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir, sir?
I
In the
think
Kashmir
then you
Valley?
should be happy with the guy because he doesn't believe in a separate Kashmir. He believes in a country without borders. But at the same time, when you are talking about Zakir Musa, these are the same forces which, like Yogi Adityanath, will spreading
Oh, come
into
on.
terrorism in UP.
You are unable to respond. Sambit Patra wants to respond to you.
Where do you get this silly man from?
When you say that we will wrap him in dead Muslim women and
I don't
men,
understand where
I
do we
think
get such
it is
silly
sorry, the reaction has to be
spokespersons and
like
how
this
these
and
people are
innocent suffer.
representatives
We
in the
suffer,
Assembly
you
of
suffer,
Jammu and
everybody
Kashmir.
suffers.
These people do not consider Jammu and Kashmir as integral part of India, and yet we have the audacity of
We
listening
know,
to such
sir.
people. I don't even feel like dignifying the comment.
You got
with a-
exposed
Sir,
when you got
please
exposed
keep
when
quiet
you
and
met
don't
Yogi
disturb me while I'm
Adityanath as
speaking. I
who
don't
want to
dignify you with a
establish
comment because
Murthy in
people
every
like
mosque.
you who do
For
not
God's
consider
sake, you
Kashmir
didn't
as
give
part of
Monday, you
India.
didn't-
Why should I be
you are
interacting
talking
with you?
about leader of
Who
Zakir
are you?
Musa, sir.
Who are
You
you?
didn't
You eat
give
in
Monday
India,
ticket
you
even
drink
to a
in
single
India, you
Muslim
live in
candidate.
India, and you work against India.
Who are you
You
to
are such
discuss
kind of
Kashmir?
people.
No, I don't need your certificate.
खाते यहाँ का
We
है
don't
और
need
छेद
your
यही
certificate,
करते
sir.
हैं.
We don't
खाते
need
यही
your
का है, इसी
certificate.
देश को बेचते
We
हैं.
don't need
धिक्कार
your
है आप जैसे
certificate.
लोगों पे.
We don't subscribe to Zakir
अब मत
Musa's
लीजिए
views, but
सर्टिफिकेट,
tell me
चिंता
about
मत
Yogi
करिए.
Adityanath
वो
and your
चिंता
BJP.
नहीं, आपको कोई
What you are
सर्टिफिकेट
doing
दे
in
भी नहीं
UP,
रहा है.
sir?
No
What
one,
you are
don't
doing in
compare
UP?
Yogi
What you are
Adityanath
doing
with a
in
militant,
UP?
with a terrorist.
Respond to what
And you
terrorists
forget
like
about that.
Zakir Musa
You
say.
forget about
Is that
that.
not
Such
the
kind of
reality
silly
of
people
Jammu
we
and
have, such
Kashmir?
kind of
No,
people
Sambit
we
Patra,
are
Sambit
forced to
Patra,
debate with.
Sambit
I
Patra
pity
and Engineer
myself, I
Rashid,
would say
stay with me
rather.
for a moment,
No,
gentlemen. Stay with
don't
me for a moment,
mind
but I
your
want
language.
Karna Nandi to
we
realize
know
this
how to-
reality. Zakir Musa is a terrorist.
Gaurav, could you just repeat what he said? I couldn't catch the whole thing. Could you repeat what he said?
Yes, he said जो मेरे
Yes,
संगबाज
I got
भाई हैं,
that. What did he
stone
say exactly? I
pelters,
didn't catch the
stone
entire thing.
pelters, pick up the stone in the name of Islam. Pick up the stone. That is what he wants stone pelting for. And when you listen to that entire video, Karunanandi, you will see an armed terrorist wants stone pelters to ensure that security forces don't get to them. That's the reality of Kashmir, ma'am.
I think this is a major problem in Kashmir, which is the conflation of terrorism with religion. We have religious fundamentalism all over the country. In some parts, it's even joined the state. But here, in the Kashmiri state, there is also a problem of in the state of Kashmir rather, not in the Kashmiri state, of Islamism and terrorism coming together. And that is absolutely a big problem. And that is absolutely something that is unconscionable.
Closing comments, General, what's the road
But again,
ahead?
what I'm saying is that is...
Ma'am, that's
that
the
is-
reality that this nation needs to accept. That is the reality this nation needs to accept. The problem is terror, radicalization, stone pelters being misused and misled. General,
it has.
what's the
We
road
have
ahead?
chief ministers, we have,
General, the road ahead. Closing
religious,
comments, General, the road ahead.
The road ahead, of course, is firstly the two elements to the whole problem. One is it's not a military solution. We have to have a political will to resolve the whole thing. But any militant activity which is spoiling this creation of conducive environment has to be tackled with all our might. Unfortunately, people are talking theory. With due respect to ma'am, I was quoting the J&K Constitution, not the Indian Constitution. I'm very clear as a soldier what is applicable.
not quoting theory, sir, just citing law.
Till the time the militant, please, because you are not on ground. We have been on ground. We know how stone throwing goes on. You face there, you will come to know. With due regards, please allow me to speak. Till the time the militant content is not killed or decimated, I don't think we can have a conducive environment. And what, like Mr. Rashid has said, his mind is still, lurked with laced with the plebiscite, which is the bygone story. Their own constitution has been
This is
written,
the
and
truth.
I quoted
I'm
that.
on the simple aspect.
So where is the doubt? Where is the doubt? So what are their demand?
Exactly,
What is
and
the demand?
nothing justifies picking up a stone and targeting anti-terrorist
Who knows where the
operations.
trap will be
And
site? Why are you
that message, ladies and gentlemen, needs to go out loud and clear. We will continue to track developments on the story very closely. But to all my guests, many thanks for joining me on the broadcast. Karna Nandi, Engineer Rashid, Sambit Patra, and Jill Jaswal. Many thanks.